I actually had mentioned this story before, but it is such a powerful story that I want to read it to you again this morning. Earl C. Willer tells this story. He tells a story of two men who grew up as best friends. Though Jim was a little bit older than Philip and often assumed a role of leader, they did everything together. They even went to high school and college together. After college, they decided to join the Marines together. And by a unique series of circumstances, they were sent to Germany together, and they fought side by side. On one sweltering day during a fierce battle, amidst heavy gunfire, bombing, and close-quarter combat, they were given the command to retreat, and as the men were running back, Jim noticed that Philip had not returned with the others. Panic gripped his heart. Jim knew if Philip was not back in another minute or two, that he wouldn't make it at all. Jim begged his commanding officer to let him go after his friend, but the officer denied the request, saying that it would be suicide. Risking his own life, Jim disobeyed and went after Philip anyway. His heart pounded as he ran back into gunfire, calling out for his friend. A short time later, his platoon saw him hobbling back across the battlefield, carrying a limp body in his arms. Jim's commanding officer berated him, shouting that it was foolishness to go out. It was outrageous to risk your life. Your friend is dead, he said, and there's nothing you could do. No, sir, you're wrong, Jim replied. I got there just in time before he died, and his last words were, I knew you would come. There's something powerful, there's something desirable about true friendship. There's something that we long for about being connected together. We want to be included. We want to find relationship. We want to seek out genuine friendships. Dr. Richard Dobbs once said, he said, take a moment and poke yourself in the belly button. He goes on to say, I would have told you to poke your neighbor in the belly button, but we might get in some trouble there. But he says, go ahead, put your finger in your navel and understand this, consider this. A navel is a reminder that we all started out life connected to another human being. He said that we spend all the rest of our lives trying to reconnect with human beings. God created us as relational people. The truth is, that is what we are designed for, to connect to one another. From the very beginning, God intended us to find fulfillment in each other. In fact, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 18, it said, the Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. From the very beginning, God knew we needed each other. If you think about the way in which the church is described throughout God's Word, we're described as a family, we're described as a body. The church is described in the context of marriage. The church is a community. We've been designed to relate to one another, to connect, to be friends, to be family. The problem is, even though we are made for relationship, we all understand that not every relationship is good for us. In fact, some relationships are downright destructive to us. Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33, he says, don't be misled, bad company corrupts good character. Or essentially, Paul warns us, he says, hey, some relationships are bad apples to your soul. They're going to corrupt at your very heart. We've already seen that we've been made for relationships. We all understand that not every relationship is good for us. So what are we to do? We're supposed to be in relationship, and yet not all relationships are good. We're designed to be connected, and yet not all connections are beneficial. So what are we supposed to do? We don't want to be an easy target for Satan by being out there all alone. So how do we make the proper relationships? Where do we find the proper connections in life? There was an email that went out not too long ago. It asked its readers to reflect on the following questions. The first question, name the 5 wealthiest people in the world. Second question, name the last 5 Heisman Trophy winners. The third question, name the last 5 winners of the Miss American contest. How are we doing so far? Pretty good? You got me? The fourth question, name 10 people who have won the Nobel or Pulitzer Prize. The fifth question, name the last half dozen Academy Award winners for Best Actor or Actresses. The sixth question, name the last 10 World Series winners. Anybody got any of these? Anybody can answer even any one of these. Anybody get the answers right on this? Now the email went on to ask another question. After that set in and after you realized you didn't know those people, you can't even remember hardly any of those people, the email goes on with another set of questions, and it says, first question, list a few teachers who aided your journey through school. Now we're getting somewhere. Second question, name 3 friends who have helped you through a difficult time. Third question, name 5 people who have taught you something worthwhile. Number 4, think of a few people who have made you feel appreciated and special. Number 5, think of 5 people you enjoy spending time with. And the point of the email is simple. The difference makers in our lives are not the people with the most credentials. They're not the people with the most money. They're not the people with the most awards. The difference makers in our lives are the ones who have gotten involved with us and have had a positive influence in our lives. That's what we need to look for this morning. I want you to turn with me to Ecclesiastes chapter 4. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, way back there in the Old Testament, but it's got some very powerful information in there. And this one text says volumes about connection, about friendship, about relationship. Ecclesiastes chapter 4. I want to read to you verses 9 through 12. 9 through 12. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Also, if 2 lie down together, they will keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, 2 can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. This morning, I want us to learn how we can nurture the right relationships. This morning, I want us to understand how the Bible defines the connections we should be involved in. This morning we need to look at what it means to be a part of the right family, the right group of people for us to flourish. And the first thing we need to understand is correct connections make us better. We need to understand that correct connections make us better. Solomon says in Ecclesiastes, friends bring a good return on our work. In other words, the friends we choose should make us better people. We should be better because of them, and we should make them better because of us. That's what friendship is about. We're supposed to be making each other better people. In Hebrews chapter 10, verse 24, one of my favorite verses, and let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Think about what that says. That says as a church, we gather together to encourage each other to do more good. Do something that shows love. Do something that influences someone positively. That's what we're about. Those are the relationships we're supposed to foster. Those are the ones we're supposed to build up. When we get around those people who encourage us, who make us better, who bring out the best in us, those are the people we should connect to. There's a story, as part of an assignment for a doctoral thesis, a college student had to spend a year with a group of Navajo Indians on a reservation in the Southwest. And as he did his research, he lived amongst them. He lived with one family that entire year and slept in their hut, ate their food, and worked with them in their lives, living exactly like a 20th century Indian would. The old grandmother of that family spoke no English at all, yet a very close friendship formed between the two. They spent a great deal of time sharing a friendship that was meaningful to each, yet unexplainable to someone else. In spite of the language differences they had, they shared the common language of love and they understood each other. And over the months, he learned a few phrases in Navajo, and over the months, she picked up a few phrases in English. And when the time came for him to return to campus and write his thesis, the tribe held a going-away celebration. It was marked by sadness because this young man had become so close to the entire village, and they all were going to miss him. As he prepared to get up into the pickup truck and leave, the old grandmother came to tell him goodbye. And with tears streaming from her eyes, she placed her hands on each side of his face, looked directly into his eyes, and said, "I like me best when I'm with you. I like me best when I'm with you." Friends, that's what we need to be to each other. We need to look each other right in the eyes and say, "I like me best when I'm with you." We need to be there to help each other. A friend is there no matter what our need. A friend is there and they're positive in our lives. They encourage us and they inspire us and they challenge us and they hold us accountable. I need to be connected to a church family that promotes growth in my life instead of tears me down. I need to be connected to a group of people that pushes me forward in life instead of pulls me back. We all need to be a part of a group of people that sees the best we could be rather than the worst of who we are. Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. I read this a few sermons ago. It says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." We need to ask ourselves this morning, are our friends a good influence on us? Do they benefit us? Or are they a bad influence on us? Is God pleased with my behavior when I'm around them? Or am I ashamed of my behavior when I am around them? I believe David was thinking about that very same thing when he says in Psalm 26 verses 4 and 5, "I do not sit with deceitful men, nor do I consort with hypocrites. I abhor the assembly of evildoers and refuse to sit with the wicked." David says, I've made a choice. I will spend time with those who make me better, not with those who make me worse. If you have friends who gossip, it's time for us to plainly tell them, I do not want to hear it. Don't tell me it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want none of it. If you have friends that tempt you, it is time for us to say, I refuse to be with you by myself. I'm not going to be near you. You're always trying to get me into trouble. You're always trying to get me go down the wrong road and involve in the wrong behaviors. If you have friends that are not making you better, don't write them off, but instead find better friends and surround them with them. Don't write off the bad friend. Get a whole bunch of other good friends and just outnumber them until the point where they become a good one too. Correct connection makes us better. The second thing we need to understand is that correct connection makes us stronger. Solomon says, with the right friends, you find the help you need, they keep you warm, and they defend you. The friends we choose should make us stronger people. We should find our strength in them. We should find that they will stand for us and that we will stand for them. We aren't just more fruitful and more productive. We are stronger and more confident because good friends stand up for us. Good friends take our side and make us stronger because of it. In Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17, a friend loves at all times and a brother is born for adversity. Proverbs 18:24, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Fair weather friends are no friends at all. A British publication once offered a prize for the best definition of a friend. Among the thousands of answers, here are a few. Here's one of the answers. One who multiplies joys, divides grief, and whose honesty is unchallengeable. Another answer. One who understands our silence. A volume of sympathy bound in cloth. A watch that beats true for all time and never runs out. Those were all some of the definitions they got. But the winning answer was this. A friend is one who comes in when the whole world has gone out. I have greater strength and confidence in my life because I have friends I can count on. In the middle of the night, I can count on them. On the side of the road, I can count on them. Waiting in a hospital, I can count on them. At the memorial service of a loved one, I can count on them. There is strength that comes from knowing you have a friend who has your back. They're not perfect, but they're dependable. Are your friends strengthening you? Can you depend on them? Is your church family here for you at any hour, no matter what the cost? In Acts chapter 12, there's this interesting story. Peter is arrested by Herod and he is imprisoned. Now at the beginning of that chapter, right near the beginning there, it talks about the church being in prayer for Peter. So they're praying for him as he goes into prison. They're praying for him. Now if you remember, an angel leads him out of the prison miraculously. He just kind of walks out of the prison. And immediately when he is set free, he goes to Mary's house. Now when he gets to Mary's house and knocks on the door and someone comes to answer, they say, hey, Peter's out there. Now, when they run back in there, guess what all the people have been doing? Still praying. They started off praying when he went in, and they're still praying when he gets out. They've been praying for him the whole time. All these church people praying for Peter, calling to God to help him, to set him free, to strengthen him, to provide. Listen, there is strength in knowing that people are earnestly and persistently in prayer for you. There is strength in knowing that there are people who are sacrificing to help you alleviate your struggles. We need to ask ourselves, do I have friends who will sacrifice their time for me? Who will sacrifice their strength for me? Who will even sacrifice their resources for me? And will I do the same for them? That's what the correct connection looks like in life. John 15, verse 13, Jesus says, greater love has no one than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. This morning, it is important that we understand we are made for connection. We're made for friendship. We're made for relationship. We're made for family. Who are you connected to? Do they make you better? Do you make them better? Do they make you stronger? Do you make them stronger? The friends we choose are vital to our walk with the Lord. Are you closer to the Lord because of them or farther away? Here at Central, we believe it is important to get people correctly connected with others. That's why we have these things called connection groups, because we want people to connect with people. We understand that there is encouragement, strengthening, inspiration, and connection with one another. And so I'm going to encourage you to get connected. If you're not a part of connection group, get connected to one. If you want to start one of your own, we'll try to help you with that and get other people connected to you. But it is important to get connected to the right people. Are your friends? Is your church? Does your family make you better and stronger or not? One last verse. I'm going to close with this. Psalm 119, verse 63. It says, I am a friend to all who fear you, to all who follow your precepts. Who are your friends this morning?